Police composition, your mission is forgetting and denying.
Do you feel you've ever experienced police corruption and or racial profiling in your hometown?
Personally, I never have, and off the top of my head, I cannot think of any time when it's happened to anyone I know, but I'm sure that it does exist. We have our city police and our township police, and there's often some quarrels between the two of them and some accusations fly, but I'm not really sure as to how valid they are.
Can you give us any examples?
You know, it seems like they both kind of focus on different things. The township police don't have as many criminal problems to deal with, so often they are targeting, underage drinkers, drug use, things of that nature, while the city police has to deal with real crimes, and they tend to be more on top of things.
Why don't you compare that to the police here in Oneonta?
I would say that the township police are probably more comparable to the Oneonta police. Honestly, I don't see a lot of legitimate crime going on, and it seems like they spend most of their time trying to target, college students, people that aren't really, depending on your viewpoints, causing problems or doing anything wildly illegal, but they still choose to crack down on those issues. And, there's been stories about entering houses without warrants and probable cause, unlawful stops, unlawful searches and seizures that I think are unbecoming of the police department.
Have you ever, been at a party where the police have just walked in?
Not walked in while I was in the premises, but I've been told that they entered in a questionable manner afterwards.
Have you ever experienced or witnessed police corruption or racial profiling from where you're from?
Not from my hometown. It's sort of low-key down there.
What about here in Oneonta?
I've never experienced anything myself, but I've heard stories in the past of police officers taking sexual favors for the collateral of getting out of a ticket or such, but I haven't heard of that recently, but I know it went on in the past.
So you heard that from multiple people?
Yes.
You feel like you've experienced police corruption and or racial profiling from where you're from?
Not at all. Maybe my friends, but I don't have any personal stories.
So you don't think it's very common there?
No.
No. All right.
Not in my town, at least. Oh, there was one time where I'm driving home from a friend's party. Well, not me driving, but a friend of mine. He was African American, and everyone else that was in the car was African American. We stop at a light, complete stop. We wait for a policeman to go by us because he was at the light and he was there before us. We begin to go down the road, and instantly we see lights behind us, and it was the policeman who was just passed us before. He pulls us over, asks the kid for his license and registration, asks us if any of us were drinking, if any of us were smoking, and just questions back and forth, asks what school we were going to, and his tone of voice was a little aggressive.
None of you, so the driver had not been drinking?
Driver was not drinking. Everyone else was.
You guys came to a complete stop?
Complete stop, waited for him because he was at the light before us.
So you feel like this officer pulled you guys over because he saw multiple African Americans in the car?
That's what I believe. I mean, there's no other reason for him to pull us over at all.
Do you think that location matters?
In one sense, location does matter because depending on where you live and the environment you come from, people are going to react certain ways.
Do you think that happens around here?
In Oneonta, I don't think so because it's pretty diverse. There's a lot of African Americans, Asians, and whites that live here.
Have you ever experienced racial profiling or corruption by police officers?
I don't think so, actually.
Do you think that is a common thing, though, that happens?
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Do you want to, share why you feel that way?
Well, not in terms of crime, but I've heard of other cases in which, blacks are treated unfairly versus whites. I actually heard in my sociology class that, if a black person who doesn't have a criminal record applies for a job, they're less likely to get a job than a white person with a criminal record. So that's just only one instance of, a lot of other instances I know where, racial profiling is involved.
Do you think like it matters on their location too?
I would think so. I think location has a big part in
Have
it.
you ever experienced racial profiling or corruptions by a police officer?
Me personally, no.
Do you think that's a common thing that happens though?
Where I live, it is.
Do you think like location matters? Like if you're in like a small town like this or like in the city like where you live?
I think it does matter where you live, actually, because if it's like here in Oneonta, I don't think it happens that much. But at the same time, where I live in the city, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
No matter who you are. Or it does matter who you are, because if like you're black or Hispanic, they treat you differently than anybody else.
You said like you don't think it happens around here a lot, but have you like even heard like stories or has it happened to you that
No.
around here? No. Have you ever experienced racial profiling or corruption by a police officer?
I think so. Maybe not by like a police officer, but like a mall cop, like in that situation.
It's like it wasn't like a police officer. Do you think like it's a common thing that happens with them?
Yeah, I think it does. Like, it's sad to say, but I think it does happen.
Do you think that like location matters about like where it happens? Like what, like if it's a city or like a small town type of place?
I don't know. I think maybe more if in a small town that's maybe not as diverse, there can be a lot of, preconceived notions about certain races. So it could happen there more. It's just like I've experienced it, but other people have had it worse.
Yeah.
That I know that like if you're like in a store, you'll get like followed by someone because they think that you're like gonna steal something. And I've been with like groups of friends. Most of my friends are Caucasian, so I'll be the one who's followed. And we've done it before on purpose that we'll like separate, so we'll see if like they'll follow me or they'll follow them, and it's always me.
Do you think that it happens around here like with the police of Oregon?
I've never heard of it happening. I don't think maybe it's racial profiling. I think it might be age or youth profiling. I think that they might go out of their way to see if someone who's younger, because it is a college town, is doing something wrong as opposed to someone who looks older.
Okay, it's going right now.
Okay.
Have you ever been racially profiled by a police officer?
No, I have not.
Even if it didn't happen to you, do you think it's like a common thing that happens?
I do believe it's a common thing that happens. I have a friend that it happened to.
Oh, can you share it? Like
I can.
You can?
Yeah.
Can you tell us?
I was in the front seat of he's Haitian, he's very dark skinned though. He drives a very nice Saab, and we were doing 57 on the parkway, and cars were passing us left and right, and we got pulled over for speeding.
How fast is the parkway?
It's 55.
And you were going 57?
And we were doing 57.
Do you think like location matters? Like,
I think location probably matters. I've heard that it's a heavily trafficked parkway from the city upstate for drugs, and I think the car plus him being Haitian plus the stereotype that a lot of drugs are moved up and down the Taconic State Parkway played into why he pulled us over for going only 2 miles over the speed limit.
do you think that it happens around here, like Oneonta?
I'm sure it does.
Have you ever been racially profiled by a police officer?
I have not personally, no.
Do you think it's a common thing that happens though?
Probably, yeah, I think it is.
Do you think like you can share stories?
Well, I mean, I've just not like people that I know, but I've heard like stories in like the media and stuff like that about like people being pulled over just because they're black.
Do you think that location matters
Probably.
when this happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably less common like in the country,
Yeah.
like Oneonta.
Yeah. So you don't think it's happened around here? Like you haven't heard anything happening about
I
that?
haven't, no.
Have you ever experienced being racially profiled by police officers?
Yes, being racially profiled has happened a few times, but an experience that I can share with you is just walking through a mall in Albany, Crossgates Mall. I was literally stopped 3 times by 3 different police officers that day because my shirt was a little too loose, and they kept thinking I was trying to hide something in my shirt. And it was about the same exact size shirt that about 4 other white boys had on that we all got from about the same store. So it was a different experience to just sit there. But I was old enough at that point to realize what was happening and kind of shrug it off.
Do you think location matters when it comes to things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're in a, I want to say, more city setting, you're probably going to experience it a normal amount. But say if you're out in the country where there's not too many African Americans or people of different ethnicity, you're going to be profiled. They're going to be unsure about what you're going to do. They don't know how to react. So it's just definitely where you are has a big part of it.
Do you think it happens around in Oneonta?
Oh yeah, it definitely happens in Oneonta.
Have you experienced something like that?
I would have to say yes, as sad as it is. About a 5 o'clock in the morning jog turned into a police officer asking me where am I running from. So it was an interesting experience. At 5:30 in the morning, you know, you're going out for a 5 a.m. run, and 5:30 you're getting asked by a police officer while you're in jogging pants and a beater, what are you running from? So it's, you know, it's a little bit everywhere. I think it also has a lot to do with the officers, the person themselves, more so than the position that they're in. But yes, I have experienced it.
Thank you.
Shifting, cause your handcuffs is cutting your wrist in. You wish